All right, guys. The Utah Jazz lost again. They have now lost 10 of their last 12. Tonight, it was against the Memphis Grizzlies. This is the Hoops Nerd postgame show. I'm just loading some things up here. But if you're new here, if this is the first time you're seeing this, if you're from YouTube or wherever, and you're new, why don't you like and subscribe to the channel? Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it. It would help the channel grow, and I would appreciate it. The channel is growing. It keeps growing every day, and you want to be a part of it. So like and subscribe. All right, let's talk about the Utah Jazz and the Memphis Grizzlies. What a absolute tough time. It's kind of a, let's see. It's the best of times for the Jazz. It's the best of times for the Grizzlies. It's the worst of times for the Jazz. It must be nice to be a Grizzlies fan right now. It's really hard for Jazz fans. Let's talk about the Grizzlies first. Name of the game for the Memphis Grizzlies is Ja Morant. He's unbelievable. He is a superstar. He can absolutely just light up the scoreboard. He is electric. He's the type of guy that's fun to watch. Fans will... he's going to be just one of the great all-time great Grizzlies. He might already be, honestly. Tonight, he had a rough first half in some ways, and he just exploded in the second. He was like 3 for 12 or something like that in the first half, and then ends the game 10 for 22. Let's pull this up. He's just remarkable. The Memphis, and I would actually say there are a few things that if the Jazz meet the Grizzlies in the first round, I think there's actually some things in this game that if you're a Jazz fan, you actually can be a little bit optimistic about, as optimistic as one can be when you have lost 10 of your last 12. But that first half where Hassan Whiteside actually played pretty well, Ja Morant just wasn't finishing, and normally he does. But the Jazz the things the Jazz have can, at least to some extent, you're not going to stop Ja Morant. He's just that incredible. But the way the Jazz are constructed can kind of give him a little bit of difficulty. Hassan Whiteside with his rim protection at times can be good. At times, I think he forgets that he's in a basketball game. And Ja Morant took advantage of that. But his ability to protect the rim did help to some extent and kept the Jazz relatively close in the first half, along with some other things that we'll talk about. But anyways, I just want to give props to Ja Morant. He's unbelievable. He's fantastic. Everything about him is amazing. He is just, if you're not a Grizzlies fan, he's still fun to watch. He's got that personality that I personally just enjoy. And tonight he was a 30-point triple-double, 30 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds. And it's a fun Grizzlies team. There is so much athleticism on this Grizzlies team. Let's see if we can zoom this in. There's just so much athleticism. They are just a blast. I was excited to kind of watch Zaire Williams. I'm honestly, who I'm really just impressed with is the Grizzlies head coach. I forgot his name, but I just love that they give guys like Zaire Williams time, and maybe this is because of injuries and things like that. But the fact that they're giving this guy run 27 minutes, and he's kind of a project. But man, do they have athleticism on this team. Zaire Williams just can jump through the roof. Jaren Jackson Jr., we know what he can do. He's had some injuries, and so maybe they've slowed him down a little bit. But this guy is athletic. Desmond Bane, he doesn't have the length, but he has the athleticism and the strength. And then you just look at other guys like Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark, by the way, is a big reason this team is just he had a down sophomore slump, we'll call it, last season. And he's just had an awesome year this year, and you can see it tonight. My gosh, 9 for 12 from the field, and a lot of these were just alley-oops from Ja Morant. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 or 3 of those assists were Ja Morant oops to Brandon Clark. But look at that. Second leading scorer for the Grizzlies is Brandon Clark off the bench. He's great. Just athletic and can just do a lot of great things. DeAnthony Melton, plus 17. That just jumps off the page. I didn't even see that coming. But anyway, 17 points, or let's see, plus 9 for Ja Morant, and that's a starter against the Jazz, who had Mike Conley, who had Bojan Bogdanovic on the floor, and they just crushed the Jazz. Really, the Jazz had no hope. I just did not come into this with any expectation, and I was right. But anyways, you got to give props to the Grizzlies. They definitely just took it to the Jazz, beat the Jazz. They are fun for a reason. They're athletic. Their coach gives all their guys play. They adjust their lineups, and so they have different guys playing different things. Obviously, you play your best players most, but I love how fluid they are and how certain guys get more run than others. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Dylan Brooks gets back because of how good Desmond Bane is. Grizzlies fan, let me know in the comments what you think. Should Desmond Bane keep starting? I love Desmond Bane. The numbers weren't quite there tonight. 6 for 14 from the field. Still pretty decent. 2 for 5 from 3. Honestly, I'm wrong. The numbers were fine. 3 assists, 2 rebounds. He's kind of a perfect counterpart to John Morant in a lot of ways. He's fantastic. So, fun little gift there. Christian DeHaas, $5. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. Guess what? In a Jazz loss, and Christian comes through with I don't even know how you did that, Christian, but that is really fun. Try again. Yeah, there's a lot of that with the Jazz. They need to try harder, try again. Has someone tried unplugging and plugging the Jazz back in? I don't know. But thank you, Christian. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Let's talk about the Jazz. What is there to talk about? Guys, the Jazz have lost 10 of their last 12. What else can be said? I must be a crazy person because I talked about the Jazz for 45 minutes in their last loss. I think I'm personally just insane. This might not go as long tonight because it's just pure sadness in Jazz. But there were a few things I wanted to talk about. One of them, Danuel House. I'm going to say that way. That's my version. Danuel House. Danuel House is fantastic. And he was awesome tonight. The 3-ball was falling. He was 7 for 11 from the field. He was 4 for 6 from 3. The Jazz lost this game by 10 points. And he was a +5. And the thing is that is mind-boggling to me is, look at this. He played 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Why? Why? When you go through the plus minuses for this team, I mean, Royce O'Neal, the 3-ball was falling early. Look at that, 4 for 5. That's fantastic. I don't really put a lot of blame on Royce for this, although that defense just has tapered off. But Royce is sharing the floor with Bojan Bogdanovic, who has fallen off a cliff since that injury, some sort of finger injury. Christian DeHaas, by the way, I just want to give you a shout out because of the donation. It simply comes to a point where you have to be sick of losing. Yeah. Like, even Quinn has to adjust at some point. Just play the best players. That's all I'm asking. That's what drives me crazy is 21 points right here. 15 minutes. He's in 15 minutes. House scored 21 points. And by the way, he plays defense. He's 6'6" and he's athletic. You know? And guess what? What was really fun in that first half was some transition for the Jazz. Let's just watch the buckets because it's fun. Let's just watch some. Although, well, we'll see. Yeah, it did look like a travel. But these are just Danuel House. Look at this transition. I mean, running the open floor. How bad have Jazz fans wanted to watch this? And we just don't get it. Right here, you're just going to see a 3-point shot. Boom. It's kind of a funny release, but he makes it. 3-point. Boom. You know? Let's watch a couple more. We don't have to watch all of these. But anyways, this is just another 3-point shot right here. Spreading the floor and playing defense. It's the definition of 3-and-D. Like, you've got to love it. And then right here, let's see what we got here. It's another 3-point shot. Boom. Like, that's just what you want to see from Danuel House. And he can't play. I mean, you don't think that guy could have contributed more tonight? You don't think that could have been something we could have seen? Because my goodness. Really rough. But anyways, I want to give a shout out to Royce O'Neal, though, for that shooting. That shooting was great. It was awesome. The defense has just not been there this year, but 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 12 points. That's fantastic. Hassan Whiteside had a pretty decent game, to be honest. He had 11 points, 8 rebounds, but I actually felt like the energy was pretty good from Hassan. It's been better than it's been in this month of January, where the Jazz have just like absolutely cratered. Tonight looked pretty decent, and it gives you a little hope that, like, when Rudy Gobert comes back, you can then have Hassan Whiteside on the floor as a backup center, and it can go well. And I think that role really did work for Hassan in a nice way. 27 minutes, if you just play him 15 and get good effort from Hassan. I mean, the first quarter of the Jazz season was so much fun, and we had like Hassan laughing and smiling, and now we have this current version, which is just like slow and tired and doesn't look all that interested, and so rough. Mike Conley looked really good again. He just handles the workload really great. 5 for 12 from the field. He shot the 3 ball really well, which was nice to see. He was a plus 13 in a 10-point loss. That is just crazy, actually. So you just got to give a lot of credit to Mike Conley. He's really good. But it does make you wonder, just, I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't even know what to take away from that. Like, it is indisputable that he helped the Jazz. Now, were there times where I think he was on the floor with Rudy Gay and Danuel House and getting some boosts from that? Yes, but it is just inarguable that when Mike Conley was on the floor, the Jazz were better. And he played 30 minutes. And you don't want him playing more than that because we don't want him injured for the playoffs. If the Jazz want any sort of success in these playoffs this year. The big loser for the Jazz, that's like harsh, and I don't mean it that way. The one who really struggled tonight for the Utah Jazz, Bojan Bogdanovic, 5 for 16 from the field, 1 for 9. He just can't hit a 3 now with that finger injury. 3 turnovers, just really sucks. And yeah, let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. And the other thing, and we have talked about this, and it's SLC Dunk. Some of the guys there have been just writing incredible stuff for the team there. If you didn't know, I manage that team. But SLC Dunk, by the way, go to slcdunk.com and make sure you're reading and joining and reading everything because it's fantastic. But Joe Ingles played 21 minutes tonight. It was probably 21 too many. He goes 1 for 5 from the field. He did have 4 assists, but these sometimes to me are a little just because you're on the floor with Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic and Royce O'Neal. If you just hand the ball to Royce O'Neal, he made it tonight. 4 rebounds, 5 points. He was a plus or minus, he was just on the floor with the 0. I guess that's better than a negative, but it's too bad because I have loved Joe Ingles on the Jazz. I have loved everything about Joe Ingles. I don't think there's any Jazz fan that doesn't have a place in their, it sounds corny, a place in their heart for Joe Ingles and forever, because he has been kind of that transition guy from, the Gordon Hayward years and all the stupid stuff that happened with that to the Donovan Mitchell years. One of the constants that has been with both, including Rudy Gobert, but even beyond Rudy Gobert has been Joe Ingles. He is, I love Joe Ingles. I love everything about Joe Ingles. I love Joe Ingles the player. I love Joe Ingles the person. I love the things he stands for and everything. I love Joe Ingles. He might be washed. It's just really tough. This might be it. And, maybe the Jazz make some move, and I'm guessing that they will do something because I don't know why Quinn keeps playing him, if it's for locker room things, but it doesn't seem to be helping the locker room much. He can't guard. He cannot shoot. The way Quinn uses him is just not super effective because if he has the ball in his hands, good things are just not happening anymore. It sucks. It really sucks. And sometimes with players, and maybe Joe Ingles is just, tired from the Olympics and all these things, but he's like 34 or 33, whatever he is. There's not a lot of like upside anymore. Like, oh, well, maybe he'll be better next year. Well, maybe, but he's not under contract next year. So who knows what's even going to happen? It just really makes me sad. It sucks. And I know I can be a little flippant. I shouldn't be so flippant, but that's what Twitter's for. That's what for this show is for. But I do want to just give a shout out to Joe Ingles for who he is and what he stands for and what he's been for the Jazz, because he's been a huge part of Jazz wins in the playoffs in the past, in regular season. Even last year, Joe Ingles was just great. And then he kind of just fell off a cliff last year near the end of the year. He fell off a cliff in the playoffs. I mean, he had a few games where he was shooting well. Quinn Snyder did not use him very well in the playoffs, to be honest. He was using him as an isolation defender way too many times. And to be quite honest, it cost us the Denver Nuggets series. Just to be honest. But Joe Ingles has always been a major part of the Jazz. He'll always be a major part of the Jazz. I just think you can't play him anymore. At the very least, you can't be starting him. And I think you have to, like, if you're playing Joe Ingles, he needs to be a corner 3-point shooter, and you need to be putting him on the weakest defender against the other team on defense. If you have him on the floor, the ball handling he should be doing is secondary ball handling at most. But honestly, the way I look at Joe is kind of how he should be playing when he first started with the Jazz, where it was kind of just taking corner threes and figuring things out. But it's rough, guys, and it feels like kind of wrong to just kind of beat a dead horse like this and that's probably that's not even good language I should use. Just like saying the same things every week and just kind of like after a while, it's like, I don't want to kick someone while they're down. But we also have to just be honest. Like, it's just bad. And before the season started, the Jazz tried to make a trade. Quinn Snyder kept that trade from happening. That was bad. It's, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just such a bummer. And I love Joe Ingles. I hope Joe Ingles I think one thing is when Joe Ingles quits, I think he's going to go, maybe he'll go play for someone else, possibly. My guess is maybe he just retires and then rides off into the sunset to Australia, and we probably never see him again, because that's kind of who Joe Ingles is. He's not a big, he doesn't care too much for like the pageantry and the accolades and all those things. They're just not that important to him, and his family is what matters to him. And I just have nothing but respect for Joe Ingles. That being said, I just don't know what the answer is other than playing him less. And I don't think there's no loss of, like, there's no dishonor in that. There's no disrespect. But if you want to win, you just have to play him less. You just have to. In a game like this, you have Daniel House doing this and Joe Ingles doing this. And if Quinn Snyder is trying to just, do a solid for Joe, that's fine, but it's cratering the team, the season. Okay. Now, there are some benefits to, like, being, having, I don't know. I actually don't even think the Jazz get their pick this year no matter what. And so it doesn't really matter. But the Jazz got the number 1 seed last year, and all it did was keep them from getting a good draft pick. And then they ended up trading it and getting Jared Butler anyway, which was nice. But we should have drafted him at 30, because now we have him for 2 instead of 4. But it doesn't matter because Quinn doesn't play him, because we get to see these every night with Jared Butler. But it's just a bummer. I just wanted to, I guess, say that. I don't really want to just rag on this. Quinn Snyder forces me to a little bit. It sucks. You know what else sucks? Trent Forrest, his last 2 games, has kind of fallen back down in his play. He was a -16 tonight. He played really tentative, and I don't understand it. And maybe it's because he came back from injury, so maybe it's not quite there. That's, it could be. So let's not rag too hard on Trent Forrest, but he was not very good tonight. And it is weird to me that we did not play. At some point, can we play Jared Butler? He has played well in his minutes where he's gotten run and against NBA teams. So there is no more Trotsky excuses from the Jazz Twitterati. They can't say anything anymore, because you know what? Jared Butler out there is going to do more than this, because look at this. We got 28 minutes of Jordan Clarkson, and as good as he was last game, this is the thing with Jordan Clarkson that's so tough, is you have Jordan Clarkson have games like last game where he dang near helps the Jazz beat the Suns, and then you have games like this, and he's 4 for 13 from the field, 2 for 8, and he's a -19, worst plus minus on the team. And he had 3 assists, which is nice, but man, kind of feels like we're just doing these same things over and over again. And it's just hard for me to look at this, 4 for 13 from the field, 2 for 8, 2 turnovers, 13 points, -19, And you're telling me Jared Butler can't play? I mean, honestly, if you just switch Jordan Clarkson with Jared Butler, and Andy Larson tweeted this, and that, obviously, I also feel the thoughts that he said, but how much worse is it really going to be? And that's one thing that I just wish we saw with these lineups is, can we have a little more fluidity? The Jazz play the spread Senate. Look at how spread these minutes are. But 15 minutes, there was no one who played less than 15 minutes. That's actually kind of interesting. So the spread was there. But you know what? Do we have to give 32 minutes to Bojan Bogdanovic if he is shooting like this? If he's shooting like this, he can't. He's just not a good defender. But do we have to only give 15 minutes to House? Can we kind of can we say, hey, Bojan Bogdanovic is not happening? Because here's the thing that was frustrating is Daniel House didn't come into the game until 3 minutes left in the third quarter. And it was already like a 10 to 12 point deficit. So it was kind of over. I mean, I literally fell asleep in the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was just bad. I woke up, but nothing had changed. And 15 minutes, it's just rough. I didn't actually fall asleep, but it was very boring. And you see Daniel House come in at 13 minutes, and nothing was going well for the Jazz. It's bad. So, guys, that's pretty much it. This game was just another really, really, I don't know, guys. It's really rough. Popeye the Pimp, $3.99, my man. Popeye, thank you. I'm sorry, I should have given you a shout out earlier, but thank you, Popeye. You are the man. You guys that send these donations, honestly, it makes my night. I appreciate it like a ton. Thank you, Popeye. You're amazing. Popeye the Pimp. That guy is out there just being awesome. With the game over emoji GIF graphic. I don't know what we call that. But it's fantastic. Anyways, thank you again, Popeye. I appreciate it. Guys, that's a rough loss. I don't think anyone expected different. It sounds like Donovan might be back pretty soon. He looked pretty kind of spry on the bench. But yeah. Furby, I cannot say that. Jazz Exile. Is Quinn on the hot seat yet? I'm going to keep asking until someone says yes. I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know. I'm not going to say no because the Jazz just brought in a brand new GM. And I think part of it was because they wanted someone who was making the decisions and saying, no, this is what we're going to do. And not being not being kowtowed by Quinn or anybody, Gone are the days of Greg Miller telling the Jazz they need to make sure they don't tank so they make playoffs so he can go buy more cars at auction. Gone are those days. Gone are those days of Greg Miller forcing the Jazz to go in the playoffs and sign players that make them just good enough to make the playoffs to make up for the fact that Greg Miller sucks at selling cars at used dealerships. Oh, did I say that out loud? Oh, I think I did. By the way, Greg Miller, kiss my butt. Wazza! Wazza, Greg Miller! Wazza! Wazza! You just spent $1 million on a gas powered vehicle, and now all cars are going to electric? That must suck! Sucks to be Greg Miller! Shout out to Tesla! Ruining Greg Miller's car value! Wah! Wazza! Oh, man. Every electric car makes Greg Miller sadder. Probably. Although he doesn't care. He's got... Just a reminder, Greg Miller got fired by his own mom. That sucks. Imagine sucking so much you got fired by your mom. Your mom. Your mom said that you suck. Ooh. Let's take all the bad vibes that we're feeling tonight. Throw them to Greg Miller. Waza! Do you not get your seat on the front row anymore? Oh no! Oh no! Remember when Greg Miller ruined the water squirting thing because he wanted to be a part of it and then they didn't do it anymore? Oh no! Oh. Goodbye, Greg Miller. Try to get a haircut. Let's just roast Greg Miller. That's what we should do on Jazz Nights like tonight. Everything sucks, so let's just roast Greg Miller, who sucks a lot. You suck a lot, Greg Miller. You suck a lot. You suck. Your haircut's bad. Your forehead's pretty square. Your mom fired you. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got tonight. Let's give a shout out to the All-Stars. None of these guys are like Greg Miller. No one here has a square forehead, and no one here gets fired by their mom because they suck a lot and ruined 7 dealerships. Larry Miller had to fire his own son every time he screwed up a Larry H. Miller dealership because he sucks. Greg Miller sucks. All right. By the way, can I just say whatever I want? I guess I'm just saying literally whatever I want tonight. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right. Man. Maybe we'll delete this video. I don't even know. All right, let's give a shout out to the All-Stars tonight. Let's give a shout out to Tyson Price. The Price is Right. Elliot Matson, baby Elliot Matson. X marks the spot with Zintas. Jordan the GOAT, best rule. Ryan Perry, the legend. Joshua Hansen, the Danish destroyer. And one, Anton Warren, Ezekiel Rice-Seabay, the man from down under. JT Buckets, Wardell, Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire. Eric C. The C stands for champion. Donald Schooley, schooling all of us. DWCB, Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer. Jorge Arizaga, mi amigo de abajo. Lee Christensen, driving the lane. Patrick Akubo, the connoisseur. Whap! Robert Hall of Fame, the man, the myth, the legend. DW, Jazz going all the way. You know what, DW? I still believe. So, anyways, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. You guys are amazing. All of you guys that are here watching. If you're here, you're crazy because the Jazz lost the 10th game in their last 12. And so this is what we do. All right. This is what we do. Guys, I will talk to you next time.